Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, going to be talking through the NBA slate on Draftkings for Wednesday, March the 22nd. Now today is actually my birthday, guys, so turning 24 years old today. Hopefully the gambling gods can bring me a little bit of luck today. Don't even know if I'm going to be playing DFS today, just because I'm probably going to be out with family. Don't know if I'm going to really be able to adjust my lineups and stuff, but I'll probably still be playing some prospects bets, and hopefully hopefully we can win some of those since it is my birthday. Maybe the gambling gods will bless me on my birthday, but. We got a 10-game slate for Wednesday. Big slate tonight. We're going to talk through each one of these 10 games, guys, kind of give you an early preview, what I do like, taking a first look at this slate on Tuesday night. But as always, before we get started with the breakdown, if you guys do enjoy these DFS videos, make sure you hit that like button down below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And if you are new to the channel, if you've never checked out PrizePicks before, PrizePicks is the sponsor of this video. You guys can sign up for PrizePicks. You can use my promo code Noah. You'll get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you do sign up for PrizePicks with my promo code. And for those of you that have never heard about PrizePicks, they are a player prop site. So very simple, easy to use. You're just taking more or less on a player's projection. You're not having to build out a lineup and stuff like that. It's just very simple. You make a lineup card or an entry. You have to make at least 2 picks, but you can make up to 6 picks. You can win up to 25x your money on PrizePicks. You just make whatever picks you like, whether you take more or less on a player's projection. You do either a flex play or a power play, and then it'll tell you the payout structure. For a power play, it's basically kind of like a parlay. You have to get all the picks right to win, but you have a chance at a higher payout. The flex play, a little bit of a safer strategy. You can still get a pick wrong and potentially win some money or get your money back, or get partial money back. So give PrizePicks a try, guys. If you're not signed up over there, again, make sure to sign up and use that promo code Noah. You will get your first deposit matched up to $100. But yeah, 10-game slate tonight. Should be a fun one. Let's go ahead and start off with the first game of the night, Denver and Washington. So Washington today, they're on a back-to-back. We're going to have to monitor their injury report. Kyle Kuzma was out on Tuesday's game. We don't really have any update yet on Kuzma. I think he's probably going to miss again. It looks like right here it says Kuzma, who will miss Tuesday's game, is dealing with pretty significant ankle sprain. So the fact that it's a pretty significant ankle sprain makes me assume Kuzma doesn't play today. If Kuzma doesn't play, then we can once again expect a big role for Porzingis and Beal. Porzingis at 8,900 feels priced about right, but I think his upside in the spot, without specifically if there is no Kuzma, would definitely be there. And then I think the same could be said for Bradley Beal at 8,500. Beal did not have the best game on Tuesday night, but he fouled out. He didn't shoot the ball that well. I would expect him to bounce back here, assuming Kuzma doesn't play. Now, if Kuzma plays, I really don't like much from Washington. There's really not a ton that stands out here. Do want to mention that if Kuzma is out, I think that does bring a guy like Denny Avia into play. For value, Avia did have a pretty good game on Tuesday night. I think there would definitely be more minutes available for him if there's no Kuzma. But there's nothing else that looks that great on the Wizards. The Wizards, honestly, are not a team I expect to be too heavily invested in today. But I would have some interest in Porzingis, Beal, and Avia, assuming Kuzma is out. Now, on the other side of this game with Denver, really good spot here for Nikola Jokic going up against the Wizards. The Wizards have been a pretty good matchup for centers this season. We saw Jokic do really well against the Wizards earlier this year. He put up 82 DraftKings points in 33 minutes. I think Jokic is a strong pay-up option like he is every slate. As long as his game is competitive, we know Jokic is going to play really big minutes. We know he's going to stuff the stat sheet. Depends on what kind of value we get as the day goes on. There's a lot of teams on back-to-backs today, so there could be a lot of value that opens up if guys do get rested or something. But I definitely think Jokic is a top play today. Don't see too much else on Denver, though, that looks very appealing. Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, MPJ, where they're priced at on this slate with 10 games, I don't really see myself going to them. So let's go ahead and move on to the next game, the Knicks and the Heat. This is definitely one of the least appealing games on the slate. You got two teams that play at a really slow pace. Specifically, Miami have been playing at a really slow pace this year. I expect this game to be pretty low scoring, so I don't see too much to really like on Miami. Miami's pretty much fully healthy now. They have Kyle Lowry back. I think Kyle Lowry's questionable, but he probably plays here. It looks like he's expected to play. So, yeah, just don't really see much on Miami. I mean, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, they always have upside, but neither one of them stand out at their price tag. Same goes for Hero. There's really no value that I'm liking on Miami. And then on the other side of this game with the Knicks, I mean, I don't see too much to really like on the Knicks either. Not the greatest spot against the Heat. Julius Randle had a huge game last game, but did kind of benefit from the game going to overtime, or I think it might have went to double overtime. Can't remember. Maybe just one overtime period. But Randle had 57 points in that game. Wouldn't expect that type of production from him here in a tougher matchup. He did have a good game against Miami earlier this season for what it's worth, but on this slate, I don't really see a ton of interest in going to Julius Randle. Jalen Brunson, I think if I was going to play anyone on the Knicks, he probably would be my favorite play. 7,300 is definitely cheap for Brunson. He's been great this season. When he's been healthy, he's been playing big minutes on a nightly basis. I don't love the matchup against Miami. Miami's been pretty good defensively against guards this season, but I think Brunson at 7,300 offers upside at this salary. But again, nothing else looks that great on the Knicks. Nothing else looks that great in this game, I don't think. Kyle Lowry's super cheap, but just hasn't really shown a ton of upside. Doesn't really have a big ceiling. He's coming off the bench and playing 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So until we see him get back in the starting lineup and play over 30 minutes, I don't see a ton of interest in Lowry, even at 3,900. So yeah, let's move on to the next game, talk about the Pacers and the Raptors. So for the Raptors today, they're in a pretty good spot here against Indiana. Indiana's defense not been great. They've been playing at a fast pace as well. So I think there's upside for guys like Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, Jakob Poeltl. Siakam and VanVleet, where they're priced at, they're both playable options. I don't think either one stand out though. Siakam, been playing better lately. He had a stretch of games for 2 weeks straight where he was just really, really bad. I mean, he wasn't really having many good games. Last few games though, Siakam's looked a lot better. There are 57, 49, 44 DK points. Still, not taking a ton of shots, but the rebounding numbers have been better lately. Maybe that continues. This is a pretty good matchup against a Pacers team that has struggled on the glass this season. So don't mind Siakam, don't mind VanVleet. I think Jakob Poeltl, though, probably my favorite play on the Raptors. His minutes lately have been pretty solid. He's been getting about 30 minutes a night. This has been a really good matchup for centers going up against Indiana. Indiana's given up a lot of fancy points to the center position this season. For what it's worth, last time they faced Indiana, not sure if I think that was when he was on the Spurs, but last time they faced Indiana when he was on the Spurs, Poeltl did put up 41 DK points in only 28 minutes. So I think if we get 30 minutes from Jakob Poeltl here, he has shown the good permanent upside to be able to put up, 40 plus Draftkings points when he plays 30 minutes. So I do have some interest in Jakob Poeltl, and then want to mention that Scotty Barnes is questionable for this game. So if Scotty Barnes does not play, I'm assuming that Gary Trent would start. Gary Trent, 5,200, he would definitely be a viable, cheap option if he winds up starting. He played 33 minutes last game after Barnes went down. I'd assume he plays big minutes here if there is no Scotty Barnes. We know this Raptors team, they want to run a tight rotation. They're not going to play too many guys off the bench. They're going to really lean on their starters. So I think Gary Trent would probably be my second favorite play from Toronto if Scotty Barnes is out. But that'll pretty much do it for the Raptors. On the other side with the Pacers, really big news to keep an eye on here with Tyrese Haliburton. He is listed as questionable for this game. If Haliburton plays, I don't have a ton of interest in him at 9,500. But if he does play, that obviously takes guys like Buddy Hield, T.J. McConnell, Andrew Nembhard. They wouldn't look nearly as appealing. Miles Turner wouldn't look nearly as appealing. Honestly, if Haliburton is in, I think I'm pretty much off all the Pacers here. Just don't really see myself going to many Pacers in this spot if they're fully healthy. But if Haliburton remains out, I don't mind getting to Miles Turner. I don't mind getting to Buddy Hield. I think Nembhard at 5,500, McConnell at 5,900 are both playable options. But neither one of these guys will be priorities in a tougher matchup against Toronto in a game that might have some blowout risk as well. Don't really see much interest in many Indiana guys today. I think most of my interest in this game is coming on the Toronto side. Could go to a guy like Benedict Mathurin. Mathurin did start last game, played 31 minutes or 30 minutes. He's pretty cheap, 5,100, so I think if Haliburton's out again, you might see Mathurin start. If Mathurin starts again without Haliburton, he's okay at 5,100, but again, not a guy that I'm really running to roster on this slate. So that'll do it for Indiana. I think that'll do it for this game. Let's move on to the next one, talk about Golden State and Dallas. So for Dallas today, big news here with both Luka and Kyrie questionable. Last game we saw Luka was out, Kyrie played. Don't know yet. I assume Kyrie's going to play. Don't know yet about Luka's status, though. I think Luka's been out the last 5 or 6 games. I said it last slate. I'll say it again. If Luka and Kyrie are both playing, I don't have interest in really anyone on Dallas. You could always go to Luka if he plays, but it's his first game back from injury, and he's full price, $12K. And obviously, if Luka comes back, that's going to hurt Kyrie. Kyrie's not really going to be super interesting at $10K. But in a scenario where Luka remains out and Kyrie plays, then I think Kyrie at $10K looks pretty solid here. He had a tough matchup last game against Memphis, but this is a much better matchup against Golden State. Golden State plays fast. Their defense has been really bad on the road this season, so I think it would be a pretty good spot for Kyrie if there is no Luka. But again, if Luka plays, probably just going to full fade Dallas. I don't see too much interest in really anyone else on this team. And now on the other side of this game with Golden State, Steph Curry in a matchup against Dallas, I think, solid. I mean, Curry's been great lately. He's been playing big minutes. He's going to play 36, 37, 38 minutes here if this game is competitive. 9,700, I think Curry definitely offers the upside to pay off this price tag. So I'm fine with Curry on this slate. I think he's firmly in play. Klay Thompson at 7K, I'm not as interested in. I think if I was going to play anyone on Golden State, I would look to Curry first. Draymond at 6K is fine, I guess, but not a guy that I have a ton of interest in. We haven't seen much of a ceiling from Draymond lately. The rest of the Warriors, I'll pretty much pass on here. I think if I'm going to play anyone on Golden State, it's going to be Curry, and nothing else looks super appealing. So let's move on to the next game, Philly and Chicago. We just saw these teams play on Monday. They're playing again today. That game, it wound up going up to like double overtime, but even though the game went to double overtime, like a lot of these guys on Chicago still did not like do great. I mean, DeRozan had 45 DraftKings points, but at 8,700, you kind of want more than 45 DraftKings points. You want like 50 plus. And Philly's been good defensively this year. They play at a really slow pace. I think this game's probably going to be pretty low scoring, assuming it doesn't go to double overtime again. So not super interested in DeRozan, not super interested in Levine. Honestly, I don't mind Vooch. We've seen Vooch have a lot of success against Joel Embiid this season. He's had a lot of good games against Philly in the past. When he was on the Bulls and when he was on the Magic, he had a pretty good game against Philly. On Monday, put up 48 DK points in 46 minutes. Obviously, benefited from double overtime, but even at the end of regulation, Vooch had 39 or 40 DraftKings points. He still was having a pretty good game. So I think if I was going to play anyone on the Bulls as like a low-owned tournament play, I would look to Vooch, but the Bulls are not very appealing here. Not a ton really stands out on Chicago. And then on the other side with Philadelphia, big news to monitor here with James Harden's status. So James Harden listed as questionable for this game. If James Harden plays, I'm not super interested in him, but if he's out, that's going to make Joel Embiid look great. That's going to make Tyrese Maxey look great. That's going to make Tobias Harris look great. DeAnthony Melton would be a pretty good play as well. These Philly guys are not like super cheap. Maxey is 6,900, Harris is 5,700, Melton's 5,400. But we saw in their most recent game against Indiana, or one of the recent games against Indiana, that was without Harden. Maxey played 35 minutes, had 48 DraftKings points. He was really good. Tobias Harris played 32 minutes, had 41 DraftKings points. He was very good. DeAnthony Melton was also very good. He played 34 minutes, had 41 DraftKings points. And then Joel Embiid, he did not play at all in the fourth quarter in that game. But even through 3 quarters, he had 54 DK points in 30 minutes. So there'd be a lot of opportunity available for Embiid, for Maxey, for Harris, and Melton. So if James Harden is out, I do like all 4 of those guys quite a bit. I think given the price tags, my favorites would be Maxey, Harris, then Embiid, then Melton. But man, those 4 all look pretty strong. They would definitely benefit here if there is no James Harden. And then the rest of the Sixers, I'm not very interested in. It's just going to be those 4 guys. If Harden plays, I think the only guy that I'm even considering on Philadelphia would be Embiid. But I don't really like this matchup for Embiid. Chicago, did relatively well on Embiid defensively last game. Embiid obviously did benefit from the game going to double overtime, but just feel like in this spot, in this like slow-paced game environment, I don't know if Embiid offers the massive ceiling that I'm really wanting, assuming Harden plays. Now, obviously, if Harden is out, then Embiid gets a big boost, and his upside would be a lot higher. So it's just kind of a wait and see for the Sixers right now. We'll have to see if Harden is in or out. If he's out, then I definitely like those 4 guys that we just talked about. But that's it for that game. Let's move on to the next game, Houston and Memphis. So for Memphis today, we got the return of Ja Morant. Don't really have any word yet on if Ja Morant's going to be limited, if he's going to start or come off the bench. He hasn't played in like 3 weeks, so don't really know yet if he's conditioning well, if he's going to be able to play full minutes. If he is able to play full minutes, though, and if he's starting, I mean, it's a fantastic matchup here for Ja Morant against the Rockets. The Rockets have been one of the best matchups possible for guards this season. Ja's done great against the Rockets this season. He's averaged 58 DraftKings points through 2 games against them. This game obviously has some blowout risk, but man, if Houston can keep it close and if Ja plays his normal 35, 36 minutes, or if he even plays like low 30s minutes, he can crush at 9,200. So if Ja is not limited, I like him a lot at 9,200, and I think he's a very, very strong pay-up option. The rest of Memphis, though, with Ja back, Triple J, Bane, Tyus Jones, none of these guys are very appealing now that Ja's coming back. I know the matchup against Houston's really good, but I'm not super interested in these guys. Maybe Desmond Bane I could still see playing just because the matchup is so good against the Rockets. The Rockets have been giving up a lot of threes this season, so I think it sets up very well for Desmond Bane, but you're kind of paying the max price for him. Now that he's playing with Ja again. So Ja is my favorite play from Memphis, assuming he's going to be full go and not limited. Now, on the other side of this game with Houston, I don't see too much to really like on Houston here. It's not the greatest matchup against Memphis. Kevin Porter Jr., 8,100, feels priced where he should be. Same goes for Jalen Green. I don't mind Şengün. We've seen Memphis give up some big games to centers ever since they lost Steven Adams. So I think the spot for Şengün's pretty good as long as he can just avoid foul trouble and as long as the game stays competitive. And we've seen lately in competitive games, Şengün's actually been playing pretty big minutes. Now, last game he got in foul trouble and he fouled out against the Pelicans. But the game before that, he played 36 minutes. And I think if this game's competitive, we're going to get like mid to high 30s minutes from Şengün. So if I had to play anyone on the Rockets, I think Şengün's my favorite play. I don't see much interest in really anyone else, though. Jabari Smith and Tari Eason both benefited last game from Şengün being out, but now that Şengün's back, I don't really have any interest in those guys. Did want to mention that Dillon Brooks is out for this game for suspension. So with Dillon Brooks out, don't know what they're going to do with the starting lineup. I'm guessing we'll see like maybe Luke Kennard or David Roddy or John Conchar start. There's not going to be a ton of upside for any of these guys just because, now they're going to be playing with Ja. It's hard for these guys to have a big ceiling. But a guy like John Conchar, we have seen him be somewhat productive when he does get minutes. And if he plays like 25, 30 minutes here, he's going to be a viable value play at 3,100. So keep an eye on the Memphis starting lineup. Whoever starts in place of Dillon Brooks, especially if it is Conchar, I do have some interest in him as a value play at 3,100. But that'll do it for that game. Let's go ahead and move on to the next game, the Spurs and the Bucks. So for the Bucks today, they draw an excellent matchup here against San Antonio. We've seen San Antonio be a terrible defensive team this season. They've been a team that plays really fast as well. So it's a great spot for Giannis, great spot for Jrue Holiday and Middleton. Jrue and Middleton, where they're priced at, I'm not very interested in. Same for like Brook Lopez. Honestly, if I'm going to play anyone on Milwaukee here, it's going to be Giannis. Now, my one concern with Giannis today is that the Spurs, they're just terrible, and they're going to get blown out a lot this season, and they're probably going to get blown out here. But if somehow the Spurs can keep this game competitive, Giannis could absolutely go nuts because San Antonio is going to have no one to stop him. Giannis should just be able to get whatever he wants in this matchup. So love the matchup for Giannis, but blowout risk does concern me a little bit. I think Giannis, though, still offers a ton of upside here. And on the San Antonio side, we don't really have any word yet on who's going to be available for San Antonio. They had a lot of guys out on Tuesday. Keldon Johnson was out. Devin Vassell was out. Zach Collins was out. Jeremy Sohan was out. I'm assuming these guys play today. Like, I'm guessing they just sat Tuesday because it was a back-to-back, so they're going to play today. But we don't really know yet. If San Antonio has everyone available, I'm pretty much fine just like full fading the Spurs here. It's, they're a team that's going to run like a really deep rotation. They really, really spread out the minutes on Tuesday night, and I have a feeling they're going to kind of do that the rest of the season. So I'm very cautious. I'm going to be very cautious with the Spurs right now. They're a team that you can tell they just really have no intentions of winning games. They're trying to lose. They're playing like 12 guys a night. It's not a situation I want to be too invested in. So I'm fine just full fading the Spurs here. By some chance, if they have a lot of guys out again, then maybe we could look to some of the guys that we look to. Like, if Zach Collins is out again, we can maybe go to Mamu. But again, like Zach Collins, I think he was out for rest, so he should be back for this game. It's just not much really stands out on San Antonio today. So let's go ahead and move on to the next game, talk about Atlanta and Minnesota. So for Minnesota today, we could finally see the return of Karl-Anthony Towns. Karl-Anthony Towns listed as questionable for this game. Anthony Edwards is also questionable. Anthony Edwards was out last game, so we'll have to keep an eye on his status. Don't know yet if he's going to play. If Anthony Edwards does play, I'm not very interested in him, especially if Karl-Anthony Towns returns, and I think there's a pretty good chance that Towns does return here. It's a home game. You would think he probably wants to play in front of the home fans in his first game back. If Towns plays, obviously not really going to be viable for DFS. He's been out for so long. He's going to be on a minutes limit, I would assume. But if Towns does come back, that makes guys like Ant, Gobert, Kyle Anderson just look way less appealing. So it's kind of a wait and see with Minnesota today. By some chance, if Towns remains out and Anthony Edwards plays, I think it's a really good matchup for Anthony Edwards. We saw him do really well against Atlanta earlier this season. Obviously, his value, though, it depends on if Towns is in or out, I think. So just a wait and see for Minnesota right now. Right now, I don't expect to be too heavily invested in many Timberwolves here, but that will change if Edwards is out, if Towns is out, if one of the two is out. Just kind of a wait and see. Now, on the other side of this game with Atlanta, going to have to monitor the status of DeJounte Murray. So DeJounte Murray was out Tuesday. This is a back-to-back for Atlanta. He was out with an illness, so I don't know if DeJounte is going to play today or not. If DeJounte plays, I don't see too much to love on Atlanta here. Now, the matchup against Minnesota is pretty solid. The game environment here is pretty good. This should be definitely a fast-paced, high-scoring game. Don't love the matchup for Trae Young, but we saw Trae Young do really well against Minnesota earlier this season. Even going up against Jaden McDaniels, a really good defender. Trae Young put up nearly 60 Draftkings points, played 34 minutes. I'd assume Trae plays full minutes here, even on a back-to-back, so he would be appealing at 9,400, but obviously he would look a lot more appealing if DeJounte Murray was out again. We saw Trae have a big game Tuesday night without DeJounte, he would be in line for a massive role here, massive usage rate, and he would look like a strong pay-up option. Also, there'd be value to go to from Atlanta. I think Bogdanovic would be a really good play at 5,400. He started on Tuesday night in place of DeJounte Murray. I'd assume he starts again if DeJounte's out, so I would like him a lot. I think John Collins would get a little bit of a boost. I think DeAndre Hunter would get a little bit of a boost. And I think Clint Capella would get a little bit of a boost as well. So all those guys would look a little bit more appealing if there's no DeJounte today. So kind of wait and see with this game. A lot of questionable tags. Not sure yet on Anthony Edwards' status, Cat status, DeJounte Murray's status. But hopefully I was able to break it down, kind of giving you my if-thens, if these guys are out, who I like, if these guys play, what I like. So that'll probably do it for that game, guys. I think that does it for that one. So let's move on to the next game, Portland and Utah. So for Utah today, still no Jordan Clarkson, but I think Lauri Markkanen should be back for this game. Lauri Markkanen listed as questionable, but he did get a full practice in on Tuesday, so seems like he's going to be back. If he does return, that makes Utah look pretty unappealing here. Talen Horton-Tucker, Walker Kessler, these guys would all take a bump down if Markkanen comes back. And then Markkanen himself at 9,100, he's fully priced, so I'm not super interested in him on a 10-game slate. By some chance, though, if Markkanen remains out, I think Talen Horton-Tucker, Walker Kessler, Kelly Olynyk, those guys all look a little bit more appealing. None of them are that cheap. Kessler's and THT are both 7,200, Olynyk 6,700. Of those three, I think my favorite would probably still be Talen Horton-Tucker. I know THT had a horrible game last game, even with Markkanen out, but he got in foul trouble. Only played 21 minutes. If this game's competitive and if he's not in foul trouble, he would obviously play more than 21 minutes, and his usage should be great if there's no Markkanen. So if Markkanen's out, I do like some THT. I do like a little bit of Kessler. Don't mind Olynyk either. But if Markkanen plays, I'm fine just kind of full fading Utah. Now, on the other side of this game with Portland, no Anthony Simons, no Jeremy Grant for Portland today. So there's definitely going to be some plays to go to on the Blazers. Damian Lillard expected to play in this game. We saw there was a report that Lillard could be shut down this season if the Blazers start losing a lot of games and they don't have a chance to make the play-in. It's kind of trending that way. The Blazers have been losing a lot of games lately, so but for now, we expect Dame to play, and Dame's going to have a massive role here. I think as long as the game is competitive, he should play full minutes. There's no Simons, there's no Grant. The offense is going to run through Dame, and this has been a pretty good matchup for point guards going up against Utah. We saw Dame do pretty well against Utah this season. He's averaged 57 DraftKings points through 2 games against them, so I do like Dame quite a bit as a pay-up option today. I think he looks very strong. Then the rest of Portland, Jusuf Nurkic is 6,200. I don't mind. Nurkic's minutes lately have kind of been trending up, trending in the right direction. Last 3 games, 28, 25, and 27 minutes. Utah's been a pretty good matchup for centers this season. I think their defense against centers has been improving lately, but I still think Nurkic is in a pretty good spot, so I don't mind him at 6,200. And then Trenton Watford I kind of like as a value play. We've seen Trenton Watford play a ton in the minutes without Grant lately, or in the games without Grant lately. He's played a ton of minutes. This game against the Knicks, there was no Jeremy Grant. He played 40 minutes, 30 DraftKings points. Against the Celtics, 34 minutes, 38 DraftKings points. I think last game Grant played in, if I remember correctly. Let me check. Pretty sure Grant played last game. Oh, so Grant did not play last game. Watford didn't play as much last game, but we would still expect him to probably play 30-plus minutes here with Jeremy Grant out. So I definitely like Trenton Watford at 5,300 with Jeremy Grant out. And then with Anthony Simons out, I think you could see more opportunity for Cam Reddish. Now, playing with Damian Lillard, Reddish's upside is not nearly as high, but he should be back in the starting lineup. He should play about 30 minutes here. He's a playable value at 4,500, but like I said, the offense tonight's really going to run through Dame, so I think Dame's the guy that offers the really, really big ceiling, and he would be the guy that I would look to first from Portland. But that'll do it for that game. Let's go ahead and move on to the last game of the night, the Suns and the Lakers. So for the Lakers, we still know that there's no LeBron here, but everyone else should be good to go. And Anthony Davis is probable for this game, so he should be good to go. Really like the spot for Anthony Davis going up against the Suns. The Suns are not going to have DeAndre Ayton tonight, so we're going to see Bismack Biyombo, Jock Landale, some combination of those two guys guarding Anthony Davis here. So it makes for a great matchup for Anthony Davis. He crushed against the Suns earlier this season for what it's worth, had one of his best games of the season. 84 DraftKings points, played 38 minutes. That game I think was with LeBron if I remember correctly, or maybe it wasn't. But I think it's a really good spot for Anthony Davis. The price tag at $10,400 is not too expensive. I know AD has had some down games lately, but this feels like a big bounce back spot for him. The Lakers, they need to win games right now, so we can expect AD to play big minutes if this game is competitive. So really like AD as a pay-up option today. Not too interested in many other Lakers, though. D'Angelo Russell, 7,500 feels priced about right. His role is going to be pretty solid, but the price tag feels where it should be. Austin Reeves been playing great off the bench lately, but 6,400, you're kind of paying the premium for Austin Reeves right now. You're not getting much of a discount on him. So I'm not super interested in Reeves where he's priced at. The rest of the Lakers, I'm fine just kind of avoiding here. The one guy that definitely stands out from the Lakers is Anthony Davis. Now, on the other side of this game with Phoenix, without DeAndre Ayton, without Kevin Durant, we can expect the offense to really run through Devin Booker and Chris Paul. And obviously, this is a really good matchup against a Lakers team that does play fast. Now, the Lakers defense has been improving. They've been a lot better defensively, but they still do play at a really fast pace. So this should be a relatively fast-paced, high-scoring game. I think it's a great spot for both Devin Booker and Chris Paul here. Booker at 9,900 feels priced about right. Like I think in terms of pay-up options, I would rather get up to like Anthony Davis, Damian Lillard. I'd rather save salary, play John Morant, assuming he's full go. But I still think Booker's a pretty good tournament play. I think his ownership is going to be pretty low on this slate. So he is someone that I do have some interest in for GPPs. I think Chris Paul is a very solid mid-range play. He's been a lot better lately, especially in the games without Kevin Durant. And now without DeAndre Ayton as well. We saw Ayton was out last game. Paul had a big game against OKC. Played 33 minutes, had 51 Draftkings points. There's just going to be a lot of opportunity for Chris Paul. He's going to be able to really soak up a lot of usage without Ayton. The offense is going to run through Paul and Booker, like I said. So I definitely like Chris Paul at 7,600. And then the rest of Phoenix, I don't have a ton of interest in really anyone else, but I do want to mention that last game, we did see Bismack Biyombo start at center. He only played 20 minutes. He did get into some foul trouble, but he did have 20 Draftkings points in 20 minutes. You would think in this matchup against Anthony Davis, like they're going to need some size out there. So I would think as long as he avoids foul trouble, Bismack Biyombo probably plays at least like 24, 25 minutes. And he is a pretty good per-minute producer. So I think Bismack Biyombo does make some sense as a value play today. Jock Landale should get the backup center minutes. I think he's kind of like a pivot off of Biyombo. By some chance, if Biyombo gets in foul trouble, Landale should be the guy that benefits most. The Suns, they could always play small here, but I think they're going to have to roll out a big out there because, man, if they decide to play small, like, I don't know who they're going to put on Anthony Davis. I guess they could put, Torrey Craig on him or something, but it would definitely be a mismatch, and I think AD would really be able to dominate. I think it's a great matchup for AD regardless, but whoever the Suns do start at center, I'm guessing it'll be Biyombo. I think he'll have to play a good amount until he gets in foul trouble or something, so Biyombo at 3,700, I do have some interest in as a value play today. But that'll do it for Phoenix. That'll do it for this game. And that'll do it for this 10-game Wednesday slate. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, guys, appreciate you watching. Make sure you hit that like button before you do get out of here. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And go check out PrizePicks, sponsor of the video. Again, you guys can sign up for PrizePicks. You can use my promo code NOAH. When you sign up, you'll get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. Make sure to check out PrizePicks if you have not yet and use that code so that way you get a deposit bonus when you do sign up. But good luck on this 10-game slate, guys. Hope you all enjoy your Wednesday night. Hopefully we can all make some money tonight, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.